Since ancient times, China has had a vast territory and numerous ethnic groups. Different regions possess distinct cultures and dialects, leading to various singing styles and musical instruments. Due to linguistic differences, regional schools of shadow puppetry have emerged, each with unique local characteristics. As time has passed, the art of shadow puppetry has become increasingly popular, mature, and localized. Overall, Chinese shadow puppetry can be divided into regional and linguistic categories. Shaanxi, Shaanxi, and Hebei belong to the northern school of shadow puppetry. Sichuan and Yunnan, located in southwestern China, form their own system. Minnan refers to the southern part of China and is essentially a classification based on a linguistic system, including areas where Minnan dialects are spoken, such as Fujian, Kaohsian in Guangdong, Hainan, and Taiwan. These three main axes of shadow puppetry influence each other yet retain distinct regional features in their puppet styles and operatic traditions. Interestingly, each region often further divides into 2 or 3 subschools. Let's talk about Shaanxi shadow puppetry first. Shaanxi is located in the north-central region of China. After Qin Shi Huang unified China, he established Xianyang as the capital, making Shaanxi the imperial center of the earliest unified dynasty in Chinese history. Shaanxi shadow puppetry developed around the Xianyang area and is divided into 3 schools: Eastern, Western, and Southern. The Eastern school is primarily in the areas east of Xianyang, including Huaxian, Huayin, Weinan, and Dali. It is characterized by bowl opera shadow puppetry. The puppet figures are about 28 centimeters tall, with male characters often featuring leopard-like heads and deep-set eyes, while female characters are enchanting and elegant. The designs are simple and graceful. The Western school is distributed in areas west of Xianyang, such as Baoji and Longxian, and is represented by string-board singing. The puppets are larger, about 40 centimeters tall, with faces often carved with a high, straight nose. The carving style is delicate and intricate. The Southern school's puppets are in between the sizes of the Eastern and Western schools, generally about 24 centimeters tall. The Huaxian shadow puppetry of Shaanxi is renowned worldwide. Overall, the artistic style of Shaanxi shadow puppetry features well-defined outlines, lively and beautiful lines, strength, momentum, and rhythm. Within the large outlines, hollow carving is predominant, achieving a balance of simplicity and complexity, reality and illusion, rich in decorative elements. The props and backdrops often include patterns and motifs reflecting local folk beliefs and symbolism, resulting in a lavish yet unembellished, simple yet substantial effect. The colors are archaic and the scenes quite grand. One of the most interesting aspects of Shaanxi shadow puppetry is its retention of traces of folk storytelling, blending narration and singing. Due to its long history, Shaanxi shadow puppetry preserves various types of singing styles, such as qinqiang, bowl opera, stringboard opera, and a gong opera, each a heritage from different historical periods. For example, a gong opera is characterized by its elegant, graceful, strong, and passionate style, with a crying tone in its dragging sounds, sung in falsetto. Bowl opera is named after its rhythm, which is primarily marked by striking small bronze bowls. Next, let's talk about Shaanxi shadow puppetry. Shaanxi province is adjacent to Shaanxi province. During the Ming and Qing dynasties, the Shaanxi merchants were a famous commercial group in the country, with influence extending throughout China and Southeast Asia, Japan, and as far as Russia, Europe, and India. Chinese shadow puppetry spread to other countries through their commercial activities. Shaanxi shadow puppetry is divided into 2 schools, the Southern and the Northern. The Southern school, also known as Southern Shaanxi shadow puppetry, is distributed in areas such as Homa, Yunqing, Linfen, Xinfen, and Tsuwa. Its style is influenced by the Eastern school of Shaanxi shadow puppetry. The figures are about 33 centimeters tall, highly decorative, with simple and bright colors. The Northern school, also known as Central Shaanxi shadow puppetry, is distributed in areas such as Xiaoyi, Wenshui, Guangling, Lingqiu, Hunyuan, and Daxian. The figure styles and performance techniques are influenced by the Western school of Beijing shadow puppetry. The carving of these puppets is meticulous and detailed, with vivid colors. Both schools emphasize fine carving. Shangxi shadow puppets are often made from donkey hide, which is relatively soft, flexible, and highly transparent, making it suitable for detailed carving. Besides the puppet figures, shadow puppetry also includes many scene props, such as palaces, pavilions, courtyards, landscapes, trees, rocks, tables, chairs, carriages, swords, halberds, knives, and spears, reflecting the grandeur and sophistication of Shangxi people. Shangxi shadow puppetry strongly reflects the Shangxi people's emphasis on tradition, propriety, and their strong sense of local identity. The repertoire often draws from historical legends and folk tales. The singing styles in Shangxi shadow puppetry mainly include Bangzi and Puzhou opera, also influenced by the bowl opera from Shangxi shadow puppetry. The Bangzi melodies are melodious and smooth, with rounded and warm tunes, clear dialogues, and a strong local flavor and style. Among the three major schools of shadow puppetry in northern China, Hebei shadow puppetry is also a long-standing and enduring tradition. Hebei shadow puppetry primarily includes Wanzhou shadow puppetry and southern Hebei shadow puppetry. Wanzhou shadow puppetry is popular in the northeastern part of Hebei, centered around Tangshan City, including counties such as Chongli, Luan, and Liaoting, and extends to surrounding areas and the three northeastern provinces. Southern Hebei shadow puppetry is mainly distributed in the southern part of Hebei and influences central and northern Hebei, particularly in the vast area centered around Feixiang district in Handan City. Overall, the artistic style of Hebei shadow puppetry is characterized by its ancient and elegant designs, with facial carvings reflecting the early style of shadow puppetry. Hebei shadow puppetry also prefers to use donkey hide for carving. Performers of Hebei shadow puppetry rarely use written scripts, relying entirely on oral transmission and memorization. Due to the highly colloquial nature of Hebei shadow puppetry, the dialogues are humorous and witty, often incorporating local folk songs, ballads, and popular tunes, making the performances easily understandable and widely loved by people from all walks of life. The singing styles and tunes of Hebei shadow puppetry include a Wuan Pingdiao, a Huaidiao, Old Southern tune, a de Pingdiao, and a four-string tune, accompanied by instruments such as the banhu, eru, and mendi, a type of flute. Thus, the singing in Hebei shadow puppetry gives a gentle, tender, and refreshing impression with lingering, strong final notes. Most notably, the performers sing with a pinched throat to achieve unique vocal effects and nuances, which is why most of the performers are male. In summary, the history of northern Chinese shadow puppetry is long and rich. Even today, you can still purchase shadow puppets in the regions mentioned above. If you are lucky and sufficiently devoted to shadow puppetry, you might even witness the rare performances of veteran artists showcasing their traditional shadow puppetry skills. After introducing shadow puppetry in northern China, let's take a look at shadow puppetry in southwestern China. Sichuan and Yunnan provinces are located in mountainous and plateau regions. Before modern transportation, shadow puppetry gradually spread from northern China to the high mountains and rural fields of the southwest. Enthusiasts of shadow puppetry in these regions interacted, exchanged ideas, and fused styles to create shadow puppetry with distinctive local characteristics. Sichuan shadow puppetry mainly includes three types: local shadow puppetry, Guang shadow puppetry, also known as a Weinan shadow puppetry, and Longzhong shadow puppetry. These types are divided based on region, language, and singing style. In Sichuan, shadow puppetry is referred to as a dengying, a dungying. The artistic style of Sichuan shadow puppetry exhibits a strong regional aesthetic consciousness. They draw on the exaggerated and transformed techniques of Mianzhu New Year paintings, especially the door gods. They also use the color principles of folk murals and temple paintings to depict their shadow puppets. Additionally, they incorporate patterns from shoe brocade, shoe embroidery, folk paper cutting, and dyeing, such as water, clouds, dragons, phoenixes, flowers, birds, insects, and grasses, into the costumes of the shadow puppets, reflecting a strong local flavor and a natural ornate style. Sichuan shadow puppets are made from cowhide and are approximately 30 centimeters tall. They are carved with straight lines, showcasing exquisite craftsmanship, skilled techniques, smooth and delicate lines, and well-proportioned hollow and solid areas. The puppets have balanced structures, elegant shapes, and oval faces. The singing and performance of Sichuan shadow puppetry incorporate the performance style of Sichuan opera. The main singing styles include the 5 major vocal styles of Sichuan opera: Kungku, Gaoqiang, Huqin, Tanqi, and Dengjia. Among these, Gaoqiang is the most representative, characterized by unaccompanied singing with shouting and chanting, relying on the drummer's drumsticks to control the overall rhythm. The performers' voices are crisp, sometimes high-pitched and passionate, sometimes winding and lingering. Additionally, Sichuan shadow puppetry also absorbs popular folk songs, ditties, as well as Buddhist and Taoist music, reflecting the customs, social aspects, and cultural traditions of the Sichuan region. It is widely believed that Yunnan shadow puppetry is best represented by the Tengchong region, which most vividly showcases its local characteristics. Yunnan is a province with numerous ethnic groups, diverse and complex landscapes, and significant variations in languages and dialects. According to the Tengyue Gazetteer, written during the Guangxu period of the Qing dynasty, it is inferred that the Tengchong shadow puppetry and its crafting techniques were introduced from the Central Plains during the Hongwu period of the Ming dynasty, brought by military and civilian settlers. Yunnan shadow puppetry also has 2 distinct performance styles, known as the Eastern and Western styles. The Western style features lively and brisk musical rhythms, high-pitched and resonant singing, characterized by agility and cleverness. In contrast, the Eastern style has soothing and elegant music, with delicate and nuanced singing, marked by simplicity and grace. The singing styles in Tengchong shadow puppetry include male and female voices, Zuma tune, Hanyun tune, and Bei Ban, with performances emphasizing local singing characteristics. It extensively incorporates a variety of ethnic and folk melodies, blending local colloquial expressions and slang into the dialogues, adding charm and humor. In terms of artistic style, Yunnan shadow puppetry characters exhibit the traditional costumes and cultural individuality of Yunnan's ethnic minorities. The most distinctive feature of Yunnan shadow puppetry is its light-hearted and joyful singing effects and the compact, varied musical styles. It excels in performing ancient war and mythological stories. Additionally, in the past, people believed that shadow puppetry performances had the power to ward off disasters and cure illnesses. Consequently, shadow puppetry was often performed during times of natural disasters, calamities, and disease outbreaks. In fact, to this day, shadow puppetry in many Southeast Asian countries also carries this kind of ritualistic significance. Yunnan shadow puppetry has a unique performance style, often conducted on water. Of course, we cannot ignore Minnan shadow puppetry. Minnan shadow puppetry was introduced to the Minnan-speaking areas of Zhangzhou, Xiamen, and Quanzhou from Chaozhou Shantao in Guangdong during the Ming dynasty. In the late Ming and early Qing dynasties, it was introduced to Taiwan. Initially, shadow puppetry in Xiamen, Zhangzhou, Quanzhou, and Chaozhou Shantao was referred to as a paper shadow plays because the puppets were made from thick cardboard. Perhaps due to the difficulty of preserving paper over long periods, no physical artifacts have survived to this day. It is said that the puppets used in Minnan shadow puppetry were about 6 to 7 inches tall, classified as small shadow puppets, with facial designs distinct from those in northern China. The singing in Minnan shadow puppetry primarily utilizes the Beiguan opera singing style of Minnan. This style is quite distinctive, featuring high-pitched tones and a lively flowing rhythm, predominantly based on the Banqiangti musical form, which employs various fixed and free rhythmic patterns. The performances are conducted in the Minnan dialect. The repertoire includes themes from religion, historical legends, and the customs and culture of the Minnan region. Currently, there are still individuals and groups dedicated to the creation of shadow puppetry in Lufeng and Taiwan. However, I regret that I have not been able to collect sufficient information on Minnan shadow puppetry. Since ancient times, Chinese shadow puppetry and shadow plays have been passed down and evolved through generations. Although major schools of shadow puppetry are divided by region, many facts indicate that a single shadow puppet troupe can also form its own unique style. The key lies in where the leading figures of the troupe are from, what region or province. What cultural influences and integrations have they experienced? How have they developed their own distinctive style? In this regard, it is much like Chinese martial arts. In this episode, we discuss 6 shadow puppet genres that are still preserved as living art forms in China. Below the video, you can find links to shadow puppet shows from different regions for your enjoyment. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.